Welcome friends to another 40k video. What's it like to visit Terra as a pilgrim and work and live there? The claustrophobic, decaying world seat of a falling imperium and a dying dream. We draw on The Carrion Throne by Chris Wright to answer this question. If you enjoy the video, please like and subscribe, and let's get into the video. Holy Terra, heart of wonder. No jewel shone more brightly. No canker was more foul. A shrine world that glowed with a billion fires. A tomb that clutched its buried souls close. All the planet's natural beauty had long since been scrubbed from its face, replaced by the layers of a single creeping hypercity. The sprawl blotted out the once great oceans and the long-hewn forests under suffocating mountains of rockcrete and plasteel, tangled and decaying, and renewed and rebuilt until the accretions stretched, unbroken, from the deepest chasms to the exalted heights. Many pilgrims came to this place, this decaying world, to reach the palace, for unpicked. The numbers of pilgrims came and went with the great festivals held by the Ministorum. One was the Red Feast, the remembrance of the angel. His festival has brought enough people so that every looping thoroughfare and crumbling causeway was swollen with a living carpet of supplicants, chanting the rituals, swaying in unison, moving with the inexorable purpose of an invading army toward the cavernous maw of the outer palace itself. The Adeptus Arbites stood nearby in judgment, picking out potential troublemakers. The multitudes would pay others no attention. No doubt most were drugged, either by the priests handing out sacred devotion amplifiers or through the food they scavenged from the resident gutter scrapers. All they thought of was the prospect of making it to the palace in time, and all they saw was the lurid dream visions of the beloved Primarch swimming in front of their addled eyes. Maybe, packed into these massive crowds, people would find themselves victims of the underhives or diseases from the lower levels. Most of them knew what the odds were on some level. The noise of worship and work never ceased. The furnaces never stopped burning. The cargo lifters never stopped coming. The prayers never stopped being whispered through cracked, chapped lips. The majority on Terra never once left the enclosure of their own giant spires over the course of an entire lifetime. They would be born in the industrial natal units, ripped from their mothers at the earliest opportunity, to be sprayed with disinfectant and branded with time and location stamps. They would be educated in the Spire's indoctrination units in classes 500 strong, where priests and scholars bearing electroprods would bellow out the lists of the fallen for memorization and impress the sacred trinity of fears, the alien, the heretic, the mutant. At the age of 10 standard, most would be assigned work details, taking into account any particular aptitude. A position in low-level manufactoria, food tank processes, engineering squadrons, or refuse collection. The more gifted would be given assignments in the Spire's myriad security and control organizations, or service the Tower's colossal internal life support systems. The most gifted of all would end up in Hieron Valkor's position, tiny cogs in the Adeptus Terra's unimaginably vast web of administrators. Many more again would fall between the cracks entirely, living a precarious life in the grimy shadows, feeding on the unwary, hunted by the overburdened arbitrators, an existence little better than that of beasts which has once shared Terra's poisoned biosphere. No matter their station, when death claimed them, their bodies would be taken down into the furnaces, the organs extracted, and the hair stuffed into sacking, and the rest fed to greedy flames that never went out. Their eyes, now floating in preservation vials, and dispatched via servitor to recycler apothecarians would never have seen a sunrise unfiltered by dirty plexiglass. Their skin would never have felt the brush of the world's wind. Their ears would never have been free of the endless hum of the spires, engines, and its forges. Back with the pilgrims attending the great Angels' Festival, they would remember Sanguinius, whilst mini-storm flyers hovered low on the straining grav plates that kept them in the air, their vox augmeters now tuned exclusively to Sanguinala-specific creeds. More effigies of the fallen Primarch, some many meters high, tottered through the sweaty bedlam, given crude masks of gold paint and sporting crooked winds. One pilgrim was now one drop in an ocean of red-robed humanity, filling every place they could find with their dirty swaying ranks. Many died suffocated by the press on the edge of death after months without food within their bodies. Their strength withered, or they would be filled with contagion from the crammed void holes they had travelled to Terra in, and yet so many came and were now swinging in the regulation blood lanterns they had paid their last coin to obtain, gasping out hymns to the sacrificed before their strength gave out and they were trodden underfoot by the thousands coming on behind them. And for those that lived, they were so close now. Nearby, the Sanctum Imperialis loomed ahead of them, dominating all else. Its outer profile was akin to the great ziggurats of Mars, though darker, huger, its edges marked with dagger-crowned campaniles of beaten ceramite. Tallest of them all was the immense Turris Varorum, the colossal tower of heroes, charred across its octagonal face with ancient fires and decorated with the emblems of 1,000 chapters of the Adeptus Astartes. It was said that the only path to its summit was lost high in the churning clouds, and was via the unbroken stair, winding up through the centre of the hollow mountain, its flags worn smooth by the tread of encountered priests, until one reached the great bell that tolled intermittently for the souls of the lost. When that bell pealed, the whole world heard its doleful boom. And on that grim, dark note, very appropriate for a 40k video, we will end this video. I love the heavy descriptions I've used in this video from the books. It really gives a sense of terror. It's as grim as the rest of the setting. And I also find myself a little sad that this place, Terra, is little better than the rest of the Emperor's failing empire. Nicely summed up by how this video started. No jewel shone more brightly, no canker was more foul. Very appropriate. And on that note, friends, I'll end today's video. Are there any marvels of Terra that you would like to have seen mentioned in this book description? Do you think Terra sounds any better than some of the other places in 40k? Have you wandered the Sanctum Imperialis and been thrown out by custodes? Comment down below.